Many masterpieces have been released over the years in the video game industry. Unfortunately, however, it is getting more and more difficult to enjoy some of those retro classics due to the technical limitations they had during the time they were made. But what if some of those same retro classics were created today with some of the most advanced technology available for gaming?
Hey, I'm Roger, and you already saw the thumbnail of the video, so you know what's going on here.
I'm going to try to recreate the original Legend of Zelda for the NES in that three-dimensional virtual reality goodness within just 1 week. Enjoy! Before starting the challenge, I needed to ensure I could make the best use of my time, so I made a plan. I started off just playing Zelda because it had been a long time since I last played it, and that's when I realized how stupidly ambitious this challenge is going to be. I then broke down the game into 7 chunks, each chunk representing 1 day of work. The chunks were character control and map, props and overworld enemies, first dungeon and dungeon enemies, small rooms and areas, the rest of the dungeons, boss battles, and finally, sound and polish. In theory, this plan had the makings of greatness, but in practice, it fell apart almost immediately. Today marks day 1 of the challenge. The first thing I needed to work on was getting the basic layout for the map done. I found an image online of the overworld, and instead of modeling the entire map by hand, I actually managed to save a lot of time using a feature in Photoshop that I happened to stumble upon. The feature turns 2D images into simple 3D models, which was perfect for creating all the cliffs using the image I found. After a few adjustments, I had a pretty good looking map in the game in a surprisingly short amount of time. But I still didn't have a way to explore it. So I took the rest of the day programming the player so I could run around the map. Today it hit me just how much time would be taken up making and placing the props. I made some bushes using a software called Magic of Voxel, which was easy enough, but then I had to place the bushes. Just placing the bushes took me hours, like a magnitude longer than what I had expected. There were 2,556 bushes in the overworld. 2,556 bushes! And I had to place each one by hand. The bushes were by far the most abundant prop in the game, so I got that out of the way, but there were plenty of other props, and if I wasn't efficient, placing props could end up eating all of my time. I also got the first enemy program today, the Octorok. The majority of the enemy AIs are extremely simple, so adding the Octorok only took me a couple hours. Most enemies move and act similarly, so theoretically, after I finished programming the Octorok, each enemy should take less and less time, which was good news for the challenge. Today, I realized that I may have been a little overambitious with this project, because it's only day 3 and I have already fallen off track from my plan. As previously explained, I originally thought that programming the enemies wouldn't take a very long time. And individually they don't, but just the sheer number of them has started to add up. In just the overworld alone, there are 10 different enemies, and I had to program and model each one of them. Just making the overworld enemies took up most of today. With my remaining time, I made a health system for the player. I realized there was no way of using the original HUD design for the health system because the original game wasn't designed for VR, so I had a chance to be a little creative and decided to show a health system on your wrist, similar to a watch. This makes checking your health easy and intuitive. The halfway point of the challenge was right around the corner, and I hadn't made nearly enough progress, so I pulled a late-nighter to try to get back on track by finishing up all the overworld props. There are a bunch of underground rooms throughout the overworld, so I needed to create a system of easily adding and moving between each room. To save time, I decided it best to not physically attach each room to the main map, but rather create black triggers, much like the original game, so that when Link touched them, he would teleport to the entrance of the room or dungeon somewhere else in the map. I would have preferred physically attaching each room to the overworld, but the overall solution I went with saved me possibly days of work, and with the end of the challenge drawing close, I needed every minute I could save. With his new system up and running, Link finally had a way to get his sword. I then spent the rest of the day placing the enemies around the world, and fixing a few bugs. There are 9 different dungeons in the original Zelda, which may seem like a lot, but many of the dungeons, props, and enemies are identical, so I'm hoping that each subsequent dungeon I make will take less and less time than the last. I created the layout for the first dungeon, and then moved on to creating the dungeon enemies. There are 19 dungeon enemies in total, so I had my work cut out for me. Luckily, most of the dungeon enemies' AIs were similar to the overworld enemies, which meant that I could save time by reusing code I had previously written.
The realization that the challenge is only 2 days left hit me pretty hard this morning, and the game isn't anywhere near done yet. I haven't even started the other 8 dungeons, and the game doesn't have sound yet either. I'm going to stop recording progress updates for you guys so I can really just grind out what needs to get done to complete this challenge. So, wish me luck.
Well, that's time. I just stayed up for like 30 hours working on this, and I can honestly say I put my best foot forward. I can't wait to record some gameplay, but for now I'm gonna go get some sleep. The 1 week time limit has ended, and I definitely bit off way more than I could chew. In the end, I had a player, overworld enemies, sound, ladders, props, the entire first dungeon completed with its enemies and collectibles, and the first dungeon's boss fight, all working in VR. And that's it. It's actually a whole lot for a week's worth of work, but a far cry from finishing the whole game. This just goes to show how groundbreaking the original game was for something that came out 36 years ago. Even though the game wasn't complete, it's still extremely enjoyable to play, and I'm proud of what I made, so the only thing left to do now is to show you some gameplay. I wanted the gameplay to feel authentic, so I thought it best to get somebody besides myself to give it a try. Luckily, my girlfriend had some free time the following day and agreed to playtest the game. She is a big Zelda fan and has played many of them in the past, including the original, so before she playtests the game tomorrow, I wanted to make the game a little bit more interesting for her, and programmed in a bit of a twist.
Oh, here I am. Whoa. Ooh. I got a heart. Ah. Ah. Ouch. How do I shoot a laser? Whoa! Come fight me. Ah! Those things are angry looking. I'm gonna get you. Ah! There's so many! Is this a fairy? Whoa! Okay, that's really cool. Whoa, there's a lot here. Oh, there's a key over there. Fight me! This is a lot of bats. Oh, they're boomerangs? Ow. this? Ah. Oh, is that the bow? How do I equip this? Whoa. It's a dragon! Ooh, did I get a heart piece? Triforce! Woo! Is that it? Oh my goodness. You really thought it would be that easy? Uh-oh. This is giving me Doom vibes. Oh my god! Babe! Oh, there's like a bunch of them. Ah! Ah, that's massive! Yeah! There we go, sucker!
This is my first video in this format, so I would appreciate any feedback in the comments below. If you did enjoy the style of video, let me know of any challenges you think would be fun for the channel. Stay tuned for my future videos, and with that, thanks for watching.